Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and tomorrow we're going to be getting the re-release of the Legendary Gauntlet, as well as a new triple feature Pokefair Scout for it. As well as, of course, getting the Battle Violet reopened, as well as a new Ultimate Battle for Thornton, or against Thornton. And these are the 3 Sync pairs that are going to be featured on the Sync Pair Scout for the Legendary Gauntlet. We got Emma, Signa Suit Karina, and Signa Suit Blue. Now, people are probably not super excited about Signa Suit Blue. He is good, right? But obviously been run 1,000 times. Most people probably have him, especially with dupes. Most people probably don't care. But Signa Suit Korrina and Emma, I'm pretty sure this is the first ever free rerun for Signa Suit Korrina. She did reappear in the New Year's Select Scout, I think, last year. But Emma has never had a rerun. Actually, no, she had a rerun for the 4th anniversary. Yeah, it took me a while to get it. 4th anniversary, I believe she had, because I remember having her as my thumbnail. So, yeah, that was interesting. But, yeah. So, these 2 characters are finally rerunning for free, and they are pretty good. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of how valuable this banner can be, and all of that stuff, right? I'm also surprised Signa Suit Karina didn't get her Pokefair tiles, because I don't think she has hers. I don't think so. I could be misremembering, but I don't think so. No, she doesn't. Anyway, whatever. Let's go ahead and go over Emma first because she is the newest of the 3 Sync pairs, and we'll go over Signa Suit Blue last because most people probably already know what he can do. Anyway, looking at Emma first, she is a physical striker with the poison type and was the most relevant poison striker back when she released. The only other options were like Roxy, who I think had her grid expansion at the time, as well as Looker, who was only good super effective, and etc. So Emma was really your biggest option, and then she got a future buff in Oleana back when the Galar arc released, because Oleana was able to apply on-demand poison, poison rebuff, as well as just be a decent, pairing for Emma here. So, looking at her stats, she's got 424 attack, which is definitely good for sure, especially if you EX her level 150, get her to higher stats as well. 400 speed, very good speed tier. 134 defenses is quite low, as well as 630 HP is quite low, so the bulk is not there, and then special attack doesn't matter. But when it comes to her move, she does have potions, so it can help out with your own HP as well as allies' HP. It's solid, right? Poison Fang for a 50% poison chance with a 2-gauge move. And then Venom Cross Poison, which is a 4-gauge move, 230 power, and the move never misses. Activation condition is when there is at least one poisoned or badly poisoned opponent on the opponent's field of play. That's basically why you have to use Poison Fang, because you want to get the poison off so you can activate this, but again, that's also why Oleana is so good, is because she's able to apply poison to all enemies instantly. Well, as soon as you use your max move, right? Like, you can opt to do it whenever you want. So that's definitely very, very nice. That's why they're a good partner. But obviously this is it's not a bad condition, but it can definitely help or hinder team building, as well as hinder the damage of Emma overall, because you do have to get the poison off, especially with Poison Fang, 50% chance, or your allies, which, you're waiting turns in order to actually activate your cross poison so you can do actual damage, right? So the more you wait, the more damage you're going to be missing out on. But the move never misses, and except in circumstances, attacks with this attack become critical hits, so it's unconditional crits, and then she has a 10% chance of leaving the enemy poisoned. I don't know why 10%, you should have just done 50, honestly, it doesn't matter, but whatever. And then her true to move, here we go, which raises her attack by 4 and speed of all allies by 4. So she's a good speed support, as well as just straight up buffing her attack, which is very, very good, because she doesn't really need crit buffs, because Poison Fang doesn't do much damage anyway, and Venom Cross Poison has guaranteed crits, so the critical hit rate does not matter too much. And then Case Close Cross Poison, no effects, right? We go into her skill. She has Head Start 2, which lowers sync countdown by 2 on entry. Give her the Head Start 1 lucky skill, or give her a partner that uses sync countdown and whatnot, and she'll be very good for, sync countdown, sync ramping, whatever you want to call it. She's got Toxic Free B4, 50% chance to apply the free moves next to the user after attacking a poisoned opponent. So that's why Cross Poison being 4 gauge isn't so bad, because not only is she doing speed support for the gauge, she's also got a 50% chance just to give herself free moves next, which is definitely nice. And then Critical Sync lands critical hits on her sync move, so again, you don't need crit buffs for her in order for her to be effective. So just at 1 out of 5, Emma is definitely very self-sufficient. She's got healing, she's got solid damage with Venom Cross Poison, as well as a lot of good sync countdown. But her biggest flaws are obviously having to poison the enemy, which can definitely take a while, especially if you're not using her with Oleana, her best partner. So you got to be careful of that. Obviously her damage is going to be fine, but really her damage is not going to be that crazy. There's no multipliers at 1 out of 5. And 230 power, while not bad, for sure, it's definitely a great move. It's like Hyper Beam levels of strength. Definitely not going to be super crazy compared to, obviously, a lot of other strikers, right? But it's not bad, for sure. She's got a lot of good utility. I've used her at 1 out of 5 to pretty solid effect. She's not really that bad, right? She's definitely not bad. Especially against Poison Weak enemies. She's going to shred a Poison Weak stage pretty easily. Anyway, outside of that, looking at the moves or abilities at 1 out of 5 on the grid, nothing pretty much. 2 out of 5, she gets Toxic Chance 3, Virulent Toxin, Toxic Power, Slippery on the Trainer move NPR, Toxic Hit Attack Up, Toxic Hit Speed Up, Master Healer, and that's it. Okay, I know that was a lot to go over, but Virulent Toxin and Toxic Power are just multipliers for her DPS and Sync move. Obviously, these aren't good. They're fine, right? I have my Emma at 2 out of 5 from the Mix Scout, so that's really the only situation you'll probably ever find yourself having 2 copies of this character and not 1 or 3. Otherwise, you know, maybe you pull 2 and 1 multi or something. Those type of situations. But really, I would not ever candy just for these 2 multipliers. And also nothing else, because Toxic Chance 3 is just an extra 40% chance to poison the enemy. It doesn't stack with Poison Fang or Venom Cross Poison. It's just an extra roll. It's not like a hostile environment or anything like that. It's literally just, did you miss this 50% poison chance? Okay, we'll roll another 40% chance, and if you land that, it poisons. And if you don't land that, then you just didn't poison. It's not like 50 plus 40% to where this is now 90% and where this is now 50%. Right. So it's not bad, but really, again, not worth the 2 out of 5. Master Healer for potions, that's nice enough. Trainer move Slippery and NPR. Not bad if you want to do a lot of speed support, as well as max her attack, as well as give her evasion if you really want to. It can help out with her low defenses. But really, again, just not worth the candy or anything like that. Toxic Hit Attack Up for 50% chance to raise her attack when attacking a poisoned or badly poisoned opponent. Not really worth it if you are going to go for Trainer Move NPR, because you can max your attack anyway, and even then, still not really that impactful. And then Toxic Hit Speed Up 9, same case, right? So really, I wouldn't say that these abilities are worth too much. Even with 3 out of 5, I'd say they still aren't really worth it. So 2 out of 5 grid for her isn't really worth too much. Best nodes are probably just your extra damage, as well as maybe Toxic Chance to get yourself some easier poison, I would say. Going to 3 out of 5, she gets Adrenaline 1 for Sync Countdown, which is great. Potion NPR, Toxic Power 3 for a 30% DPS multiplier, which is good. Super Toxic, applying super effective next when targeting a poisoned or badly poisoned opponent. I don't think this is worth it, because the only relevant poison stages are Stadium and the second bar of Tapu Bulu, I think. I think that's literally it, and maybe some, like, random battle challenges and whatnot. So this super effective next is not going to be that useful. If you're going to be doing a 3 out of 5 grid against poison weak enemies, they are going to get fucking obliterated. You don't need super effective next in order to do that. That's just how it is. You don't need super effective next in order to obliterate any poison weak stage with a 3 out of 5 Emma. So this is pretty much useless in my opinion. Poison Acceleration 2, quickly charging move gauge when the zone is poison zone. Not really worth it. Rejuvenate 6, same case. The Rejuvenate 6 does have a little bit of use because it means you can restore your gauge and potentially queue up another Venom Cross Poison, but I still wouldn't really recommend picking it up. Obviously, you get the 2 Sync nodes, which are good, and then you get Inertia and Ramming Speed. Very simple 3 out of 5 grid, but very effective 3 out of 5 grid at the same time, right? You get a 30% DPS node, another 30% DPS node with Ramming Speed, and then you get Inertia as well. This is why you could potentially find some use in Toxic Hit Speed Up 9. I don't know why they named this ability like they did, but still they did. They did it, I guess. Ramming Speed and Inertia, obviously you want them maxed out. These are her best nodes for nuking. And in Inertia's case, it's her only nuking node outside of Virulent Toxin 2. So, there you go. And then Ramming Speed, obviously, you want to be able to have her DPS fully optimized. She is more of a DPS-focused, or rather, oriented unit than a nuke-focused one, because her move damage, like 253 power, is very good. So being able to have 60% total nodes activated for that, in terms of extra power, it's going to be hitting quite hard. So she's going to be hitting very, very hard at 3 out of 5 for sure. I would definitely say it's obviously her best, but that's kind of a given at this point. When it comes to, obviously, giving her the right grid, I would say this is probably what you're going to be working with. You can work with that as well. It's really just up to you. This is giving her the full power. You're going to need a little bit of speed support in order to actually maximize her speed, and you could do attack as well, but obviously speed supports and attack supports are not a rare thing to find. You can do Skyla for speed, you can do Sonya for speed and attack. It doesn't really matter too much. You can find some characters that work very, very well with her. And obviously, if you are really stressing about self-sufficiency or something like that, you could sacrifice a few nodes and probably pick this ability up here just by changing around your grid a little bit, right? Now, obviously, we're missing out on a couple of power nodes, but again, this does give her the full self-sufficiency that she needs. So you can go for a little bit of extra power with a lack of self-sufficiency, or you can go for more self-sufficiency. I think I just reversed that. More power, less self-sufficiency, more self-sufficiency, less power, right? However you want to do it. And obviously you can swap around the grid a little bit to pick up adrenaline because that could be useful depending on if you are using sync ramping strategies. But overall, Emma at 3 out of 5 is a very strong poison striker, probably the strongest physical poison striker because... Actually, isn't Roxy tech? No, yeah, she's tech. So striker, I would say that the... cake still goes to Emma, right, in terms of physical strikers and special strikers as well, because our only other striker for poison, I think, is Petrol here, who is not bad, but yeah, no, I'd say Emma's better. And then obviously for a damage dealer, she's lost to Roxy, but still, it doesn't really matter too much. Anyway, going to 4 out of 5, she gets Ruthless Toxin 9, one of random stat debuffs. It's not worth picking up at all. And then Catalytic Kick, also in my opinion, not really worth picking up because you're going to be using this. This can screw up your quad Q because if you use your turn to move the first turn of battle, which you generally would, you could obviously swap it with Poison Fang. It doesn't really matter the order, but generally you would probably use your turn to move first. And then if you activate the cat, why the fuck is my mouse doing? My mouse is just right clicking. Okay, that's cool. Anyway. Catalytic Kick here. If you apply move gauge acceleration on the first turn of battle and you have no form of sync countdown, which Emma does, but if you aren't capitalizing on that, we'll say for hypothetical situations, once you get to your sync move on turn 3, the moment that your sync starts, gauge acceleration will run out and it will enable your enemy to queue up a move, meaning you will not be able to quad queue. So that's why I don't really like this ability too much, and obviously, other than that, she doesn't need it. She does speed support, so the gauge acceleration isn't really necessary, but of course it's not bad if you want to make use of it. Venom Sync All, leaving all enemies badly poisoned after using her sync move. This is useless if you have Oleana as her partner, but if you don't, this could be relatively useful in making sure all enemies stay poisoned, so you can keep your Venom Cross Poison activated, as well as have better opportunity to land Toxic Freebie. And then Team Evasive Maneuvers 4, raising evasion of all allies by 1 when the user's attack move is successful. She's just becoming an evasion support for some reason, which is more helpful to her being a defensively lacking character. But really, again, it's not really worth it's just not worth the 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 in my opinion. These abilities are not bad, but they really kind of don't help her in what she already does, which is just good damage. She doesn't really need these evasion type of abilities. A lot of the stuff here is more niche than anything else. Not bad, but again, just niche. Like, you wouldn't really use it in most situations. Anyway, that's Emma. Very good poison striker for sure. Probably one of the characters that most of you are excited to get on this banner. Let's go to Signa Korrina, who released back in, what, June? Yeah, this is July. July of 2022, so she's going a year and a half old now, and I still don't have her. She's got Marshadow, of course. She released alongside Dojo Gloria. She is a Ghost Tech character. And looking at her stats, she's got 448 attack, which is all she needs. Very high attack stat. 200 in both defenses, which is very good. 651 HP, same case. Well, that's fine HP. Not really crazy. 390 speed, very good speed tier. So stats overall are very, very nice for sure. She's got Spectral Thief, which is a 2-gauge, 3-use move. It has 102 base power, targets an enemy, and accuracy is 100. Returns the target's race stats to normal and raises the user's stats by the same amount, and then attacks. So you steal stats, and then you attack the enemy. It's like Snatch, but obviously you attack the enemy afterwards. So that's very, very nice. She's got Dire Hit All Plus, raising crit of all allies by 2, so she's got a little bit of crit support. Shadow Punch, 2-gauge move, 54 base power. If you're not using Spectral Thief, which... good situation, there's many good chances that you won't be using it in every situation. You're going to be relying on 54 base power Shadow Punch here, which does suck. But Greater Heights raises her attack by 4, raises her speed and evasion by 3. Sure, I guess. Whatever. And then Shadow Shrouded Spectral Thief. Attack power is increased when none of the target's stats are raised. So there you go. Got ourselves an unconditional, or very conditional, sync move here. Going to the passive skill, she's got Good Form. This is the biggest reason on why you want to steal stats, other than obviously activating the Sync Nuke. So you get yourself, the more the user stats are raised, the greater the power of their moves. Good Form is pretty easy to activate, I believe. Is it like 100% total multipliers, but that's with all stat raises. Spectral Thief, if you just give the enemy the +3 stat parameters and then you just steal their stats, you're going to be doing pretty good for yourself. You're going to get a ton of free stats. You're going to get a lot of activation on Good Form here. It's not going to be too bad. And obviously you can steal the side stats as well. Better Prepared powers up the user's moves when none of the target's stats are raised. 90% unconditional power there. That's very good. 100%, that's very, very good. So you just get 100%, 100% total multiplier against for Spectral Thief, and then you've also got Good Form, in which case you're getting even more multiplier. So your Shadow Punches and Spectral Thieves are going to hit relatively hard. Again, it's Shadow Punch, so it's not going to hit that hard, sadly, but whatever. Can't really complain, I guess. And then Fortuitous 9, 100% chance of raising one of the following stats at random when its attack move is successful: attack, defense, speed, special attack, special defense, accuracy, or evasion. Not bad at all. So she's got the ability to buff her own crit, to buff her own attack, speed, and evasion. She's able to steal enemy stats, which with the enemy stat up parameter is going to be very, very good. She's able to do extra damage whenever she has more stat raises, as well as when the enemy has no stat raises. And she's got Fortuitous to randomly raise her stats whenever her attack move is successful. So she's going to be constantly powering up her Good Form. She's going to be constantly stealing enemy stats. But again, the biggest problem is that you're just stuck with Shadow Punch as your main damage move, which is 3 out of 5, 49 base power. Even with all these multipliers, it's not going to be the most hard-hitting move ever. So you got to be considerate of that. But it doesn't really take away. It's not the worst thing in the world. She does do a lot of good utility with stat stealing, as well as doing decent damage with Spectral Thief. So it's not horrible. But that is all at 1 out of 5. I would say that definitely Karina's probably got issues, right? I mean, Spectral Thief, 85 power. Even with these multipliers, it's not going to be the hardest hitting thing in the world, especially with Shadow Punches, your only other form of DPS. The nuke innate multiplier isn't hard to activate, but obviously only one node, or only one multiplier. But it's not going to be too bad with that high of an attack stat, especially with the 6-star EX of boosting her power as well. It'll be a decent enough sync move, I guess, but obviously you also got to consider your only Ghost Zone allies are Victor or Renegade Cynthia, who don't synergize the best? Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, actually maybe. You could actually probably synergize her relatively well with Victor, but again, that would also require using Victor's sync move first, so that's kind of iffy. But anyway, at 1 out of 5, and the great, she's got Spectral Thief, Move Gauge Refresh, and Fierce Entry 1 for extra attack buffs. Actually, that's actually not too bad for a 1 out of 5 grid, so go ahead and pick that up. 2 out of 5, attack up +20, Better Prepared 3, Sync Reload 9, Turn Move NPR, Shadow Punch Super Duper Effective. Okay. Sync Reload 9, restoring MP for the user's Pokemon after using the Sync move. Honestly, I wouldn't grid to 2 out of 5 for it, but may as well just pick it up anyway if you do ever at 2 out of 5, because honestly, 1 MP is going to be very useful for Spectral Thief, because you're going to need as much MP as you can get. Really wish they would have done a little bit more for that. Anyway, 3 out of 5, she gets Rising Tide, Furious Brawn, Fortuitous 9, Quick Tempo, Shadow Punch Hit Reload 4, Shadow Punch Move Gauge Refresh, Slippery 2, Sync Nose, and another Fortuitous 9. Holy shit. Okay, so going in order of useless, Slippery 2, you don't really need it. You got a whole lot of Fortuitous here. You got stat stealing. You've already got other good stat buffs. You don't need more evasion. Fortuitous 9, these are definitely some pretty good nodes, but obviously it would require you using your 9 energy to pick them up. Maybe pick up one of them. I don't know if you pick up both of them. Obviously the sync nodes, those are good. And then Shadow Punch Move Gauge Refresh 9, I just wouldn't pick it up. It's not worth it. Shadow Punch Hit Reload 4, restoring MP for Spectral Thief at a 50% chance. This is definitely good. I wish it was Hit Reload 9. There's no real reason it shouldn't be, but whatever, I guess. It's definitely good for sure to be able to get NPR back on your Spectral Thief. Furious Brawn for an extra DPS multiplier, adding to the Better Prepared 3 as well as your Good Form and Better Prepared 9. She's got a lot of DPS multipliers, a ton. And then Quick Tempo, just applying gauge acceleration on entry. Again, same type of problem as when I explained with Emma. And then Rising Tide for 120% total multiplier, plus her innate nuke here, as well as her sync node. So she's got some decent nuking capability as well. So overall for the grid, I don't think you can pick up pretty much anything that you really want. Yeah, you're kind of stuck with this. You're stuck in this situation, I guess, where you could do something like that if you really wanted to. If you want to pick up Furious Brawn, it would probably require you to sacrifice Rising Tide. So it really just depends on if you want to run a nuking grid or if you want to run a full DPS grid. But you also do potentially want the Sync Reload 9 here, so maybe get rid of the DPS for that. It really just is up to however you want to play it. Honestly, her grid is very, very weird, in my opinion. So you got to be careful of that. In this situation, nope, still doesn't seem we can pick that up. Yeah, this is kind of what I mean. Her grid just looks really weird. And it really just depends how you want to run her and what your grid would be, I guess. So let's see, if you want to go for the full nuke, you would go for the Rising Tide and whatnot, obviously. You picked up the Rising Tide right there, and then maybe you would pick up the Fortuitous 9 for the activating Rising Tide a little bit better. But then other than this, you got 22 extra energy. Do you want to pick up Hit Reload for the Spectral Thief? Do you want to pick up Sync Reload 9 for the Spectral Thief? Fortuitous to activate Rising Tide a little bit more. Furious Brawn, Better Prepared, these type of things. What do you want to pick up? It's really just up to you. But overall, Signa Suit Korrina's nuking grid, or sorry, just her grid in general is definitely not bad. The extra power is going to be very useful for not only her nuke, but her DPS as well. Especially, again, these move powers are very low, so she needs as many multipliers as she can get in order to actually be able to do relevant damage. And I wouldn't say she's bad, definitely, but honestly, I think her partners are really what's going to be kind of iffy for her, because her best Ghost Zone partner is Victor and Renegade Cynthia, and these two characters, for one, they're special, so being special is going to be a little bit of a problem to work around. But also Victor, he's got Haze, so you could do a little bit of strategy with Haze to where Karina may want to steal 1 or 2 stats from the middle and maybe the right side, and then you could use Victor's Haze just to get rid of the other enemy stat buffs. And also, of course, you could use Victor's Haze instead of a Spectral Thief in order to try and just get rid of enemy stats right before Karina's sync move. So you could be very useful in that aspect. But do note that you have to also use Victor's sync move first in order to actually keep the Ghost Zone up and have it be extended, right? And then the other partner is Renegade Cynthia, who is also more specially focused. And realistically, I think if you're going to use a nuke, probably just use hers. I'd say so. I would say so. I don't know why physical attack is so low. Interesting. Anyway. Yeah. Her and Karina don't really synergize the greatest, I don't think. I could be wrong, of course. I don't have Karina at all, and I have not really looked into her extensively, so I could definitely just be wrong about that. But overall, Signa Suit Karina is definitely not bad. She's got a lot of multipliers to make up for her low base damage, and she's got a pretty high attack stat as well as just good stats across the board, and a pretty good grid as well. So, very nice addition to Ghost rosters, especially against Yuxi. She'll very likely obliterate Yuxi. With a little bit of help, of course, to activate get rid of a lot of Yuxi's conditions, I guess you could say. And then, obviously, finishing off here, we have Signa Suit Blue. How long have we been recording? 23 minutes. Alright, that's what I figured. Signa Suit Blue here. Oh boy. Yeah. Big guy with a lot of energy on his grid. I forgot. Oh yeah, he did get his Pokefair tiles. Oh yeah, I really forgot about that. Anyway, looking at Signa Suit Blue here, he's a very old character for sure, coming out during the 1st anniversary. Yeah. Very old character, but still very strong. I guess unsurprisingly, because Red and Leaf are also still very strong. Looking at his stats here, he has 298 in the defenses, 684 HP. When he Mega Evolves, he gets even higher on the defenses, so he's doing very, very good there. His defenses are very, very strong, 100%. Looking at his moves, he's got Water Pulse for a 2-gauge move with Confusion, X Defense All for buffing ally defenses, and then To the Top, which applies Gauge Acceleration and raises all crit for all allies by 1. So he's got some defensive buffing, gauge acceleration, and crit buffing. He's also got Hydro Cannon, which is a 4-gauge move with 178 power. Can actually hit for some pretty decent damage as well, because he does have some multipliers in the grid to make this hit harder. And I'm surprised they didn't give him any more special attack than what he has, honestly, because they did make... This was the era where they made, like, Striker, Dawn, and whatnot, right? Then Triumphant Hydro Cannon, the more the user's defense is raised, the greater the power of this attack. So it seems that they also gave him a innate multiplier for some reason. Sure. Looking at his passive skills here, he's got Force Field 4, 50% chance to raise special defense of all allies by 1 stat rank when the user's Pokemon uses a move. So just Water Pulse or Hydro Cannon, so you can do a little bit of special defense buffing. Team Shout 9, 100% chance to raise attack or special attack or both of all allies by 1 when the user's hit by an attacking move. Okay, so this is where his offensive buffing comes in. It's very slow, but it's obviously infinite for the most part, as long as he keeps getting hit. He's got Safety Net as well, applying Endurance to all allies the first time the sync move is used each battle, and these abilities don't change between Mega Evolution. So, not too bad there. The big thing with Blue that people didn't like initially about him was that his grid wasn't really that great, or his abilities weren't really that great. So they did buff him, and that's why he's got the extended grid. In here at 1 out of 5, he does have NPR on X defense all, so you can max out defenses. And he's got Trainer Move Pep Rally, so not only do you apply gauge acceleration, but you also are able to buff speed at 1 out of 5 for free, which is good. And obviously apply crit buffs, defense buffs, special defense buffs, attack and special attack buffs, and endurance, right, to all allies. Looking at 2 out of 5 in the grid, he's got Smart Cookie for DPS. Oh my god, this grid is a mess to read. Smart Cookie, Team Fist Bump 2, Team Fierce Entry 1, Team Grand Entry 1, Adrenaline 1, and then a couple other things, but mostly that's it. Team Fist Bump 2 for a 30% chance to heal all allies when his attack move is successful. Smart Cookie for a 30% DPS multiplier once you have special defense maxed, but do note, you need special defense maxed, which he buffs horribly, pretty much. But of course that can power up your Hydro Cannons, which can be nice, I guess. Team Grand Entry 1 and Fierce Entry 1, depending on what offensive stat you want to buff, he can buff it a little bit faster. He's also got Adrenaline 1 for Sync Countdown, which is definitely very, very nice. Overall, the 2 out of 5 grid is fine, I guess, for him. Being an older character, I'm kind of going under those conditions. I wouldn't really say it's really too worth it, though. 1 out of 5 is honestly good enough. I like the Pep Rally. I'm a big fan. And then going to 3 out of 5, he gets Impervious for stat debuff immunity, Wise Entry 2, but this is just for himself. So that's really just for Smart Cookie. Wouldn't say it's worth it. Party Crashers, applying critical hit next to all allies the first time the user enters a battle each battle. Not a bad ability, but really this is just pretty much holding off until he can actually buff crit for allies. So kind of iffy, I would say. I don't really like it. It's iffy. It can work. And then Endurance. Applies Endurance whenever he enters the battle with full HP. He's already got Safety Net. I wouldn't pick it up. Don't. He's got Hydro Cannon Propulsion 2. 30% chance to reduce Sync Countdown when the move is successful. Not bad, for sure. Not bad for sure, but do note it's a 4-gauge move, but also note that he can buff speed and put in gauge acceleration, so he's actually very solid with speed management. He's also got Raging Rain 3 for another multiplier, and then Trainer Move, Move Gauge Refresh 9. So at 3 out of 5, I would say that your best nodes to pick up... Okay, I'm going to be flat with you. I've got no fucking idea, because this guy's just got everything. Adrenaline 1 is good. Team Triage Tank 2, which I didn't even know about. I didn't even see it, is good as well. Trainer Move Pep Rally is good. Team Fist Bump 2 is pretty good as well. I probably wouldn't pick up the Impervious, though it could be solid. You could definitely try pick it up if you want to. Doesn't really matter, especially because there's also not really too much else here. You could definitely go for the Propulsion 2. God damn, that's 15 energy. Why are you 7? Okay. Jesus. 15 energy. Is there anything that's more expensive? Whoo-wee. That's an expensive node. I'm keeping that one in my mental notes for... Jesus. Okay. Probably not pick that up, but if you really want to, go for it. But you could also pick up... where was it? I was looking at it, and then I lost it because this fucking distracted me, dude. Holy crap. Wow, that's insane. Trainer Move NPR, that's what I wanted. Yeah, Trainer Move NPR, you can pick that up if you want to. Definitely be able to max that crit is definitely very, very nice, as well as do more speed buffs, more gauge acceleration, etc. Team Fierce Entry 1 or Grand Entry 1, depending on what offensive stats you're trying to buff. The best thing about Blue is that even though he is a slower support with the crit buffing, speed buffing, defense buffing, etc., he's just slow. he can do all of it, which is actually very, very nice. He can buff defense, he can buff special defense, he can buff attack and special attack, he can buff speed, he can buff crit, he can buff gauge acceleration. Only things that I'm seeing immediately that he can't buff is accuracy and evasion, which I'd say that's pretty good for a support. I definitely do think that blue already at 1 out of 5 is solid enough. 2 out of 5 may not be too bad either because of the turn move NPR as well as the entry abilities and Adrenaline 1 and a little bit of healing with Team Fist Bump 2. I'd say that 2 out of 5 may be viable as well, but really 1 out of 5 I think is can be solid enough. But then if we go to his Pokefair tiles, at 4 out of 5 he gets First Aid 4 for some more immediate healing, which is good, honestly. He did not have any form of immediate healing outside of his gradual healing abilities, so this is definitely nice. And then he also got status immunity, meaning he cannot be inflicted with status conditions. Pretty nice in certain situations. And then 5 out of 5 gets Free Venge 4, which can be good in conjunction with Hydro Cannon Propulsion 2, or if you want to run the DPS Smart Cookie / Raging Rain, so you can actually do some reliable Hydro Cannon damage, right? Just because you will able to actually have the gauges to do it. And then Team Raincoat, Team Raincoat protecting allies from crits when the weather is rainy. Not too bad at all either, especially if you don't want to run Vigilance on him or some other characters. I would say though, honestly, is 3 out of 5 worth it? 2 out of 5 to 3 out of 5. Honestly, I would say 3 out of 5 is okay, but I would say he gets most of his value at 2 out of 5. I think I like him just fine at 2 out of 5. He gets the Pep Rally still. He has the Team Fist Bump, the Grand Entry, the Turn Move NPR, the Adrenaline, the Fierce Entry, and then you can do a little bit of damage with Smart Cookie. I think 2 out of 5 is good enough, honestly. 1 out of 5 is also sufficient, but 2 out of 5 I'd say is probably all you really need from this guy. But overall, I think I'm going to conclude it there. That is the overview for all 3 of these Gauntlet characters. You've got Emma, Signa Suit Karina, and Signa Suit Blue. 2 of these characters being newer and more desired than one of the other characters. But hey, that's just kind of how it goes, right? So yeah, I'm going to end the video there, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think about the triple feature Gauntlet Pokefair Scout down in the comments below. Let me know if you're going to be summoning for it. Good luck on your summons. Good luck against Thornton. Good luck against your legendary Gauntlet battles as well. And I will see you all later.